Good night, everyone. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe, and I am here live to take your immigration-related questions. So, if you have an immigration question, if you're going through the process, if you're thinking about going through the process, or you've been through the process, then I know you have a question that you would like to ask. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments or use the Q&A option to ask your question. So I'm here every day. I'm U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe, and I help clients to get their green card and status in the United States. If you notice, all my videos are geared around that topic. And so if you'd like to figure out how to fix your immigration status, what your next step should be, then definitely start here with a question. You never know, there could be a simple answer to your question. And if not, then you know where to go. You could always contact me, schedule a consultation, or you know that you definitely have to consult an attorney. So go ahead. Katie, thank you for sharing the live. So go ahead and put those questions in the comments. Now, if you want to learn more about me and what I do as an immigration attorney, you can go to the link in my bio. My contact information is there. And the scheduling coordinator is available up until 11 p.m. tonight to help you to schedule a consultation with me as soon as possible. So Jean Love, how the pathway to citizenship goes. So the pathway to citizenship usually starts with first obtaining your permanent residence, otherwise called the green card. And then you have to have your green card for a specific amount of time, which usually has to be about 5 years. However, if you obtained your permanent residence through a U.S. citizen spouse and you stayed married to that U.S. citizen spouse for at least 3 of those same years, then you can obtain that, start applying for U.S. citizenship in 3 years. You go through the application process, attend an interview, and then eventually hopefully you get approved. Is it true that it's easier to apply for citizenship if I'm a college student? So no, it's really dependent on how you qualify for the U.S. citizenship, whether it's through a parent or through permanent residence. Now, where you may be getting this from, Roxanne, is the current legislation that is being considered. It's before Congress. Congress passed it. It has to move to Senate, but it is basically laying out a pathway to citizenship for anyone 18 and under who came to the United States undocumented. And a part of that is that you show that you're in school or you've obtained a degree, and then you can go on to get citizenship. So maybe that's what you're referring to. That is not law yet, though. So keep that in mind. Keep those questions coming. I'm going to get to your questions soon. How long should you be living in the U.S. for you to be considered for green card family filing? So there's no time limit, really. You just have to have the qualifying family member to sponsor you. So, Colleen, if I have a work permit, can I apply for a green card? My son is a U.S. citizen. He's 1 year old. Unfortunately not. Your son must be 21 and up to be able to sponsor you. Investor Visa is stressing me out. So if it's stressing you out, good is 868. Give me a call because I focus on the E2, Treaty Investor Visa, and it may be for you. So go ahead, schedule a consultation. Go to the link in my bio. My contact information is on the website. So keep your questions coming. I am here to answer your immigration questions. So go ahead. So asked by French Star, when will the Immigration Department restart its process? Applied last year, July, only received a receipt notice. So unfortunately, that's the case across the board. And it really depends on what type of application, where is it being processed, to be able to give you an idea of the timeline. So keep those questions coming. I am here to answer your immigration questions. So put your questions in the Q&A feature, or you can put your questions in the comments and then I will go ahead and answer that question. So I'm here every day, right? So if you don't have a question today, you may have in the future. Go ahead and follow me so that you can see when I go live and hop on to ask your questions. So what about a person who wants to work in the US in the medical field? So it depends on what you qualify for in the medical field. And that is a very vague question because who is the employer? Do you have an employer? What are the needs of the employer and so forth? So it really depends, Sweet Empress. There are employment-based green cards and visas available for individuals in the medical field, but to be able to advise further, I would have to know exactly what kind of field, who your employer is, and what you're thinking about. Only family members can get green card. So that is one way. That's the most common way. And so that's why I talk about family immigration, but there's also employment based. You have to have an employer who's willing to sponsor you through the green card process. And usually that's one of the harder parts. And then you must, and then in addition to that, only family members can really help you to fix your immigration status if you're out of status and you want to figure out how to fix it. So even if an employer is sponsoring you, but you're out of status, you would not be able to move forward with the process unless you can apply for what's a waiver. And that's really dependent on your family member. So geriatric nursing. So it depends, Sweet Empress. There's nothing that just there's no employment-based visas that are just they're just based on geriatric nursing. It must depend on what the needs of the employer are, what are your specific qualifications going in, and whether that can be proven, whether you'll meet the specific type of visa program that they're looking to sponsor you under. So Sweet Empress, if this is a possibility for you, go ahead, schedule a consultation so you can get further advice. So go ahead, put your questions in the comments. I'm here to answer your immigration questions. I also usually bring a topic to talk about in between questions. And so I'm going to see if I can squeeze that in. I'm going to talk about ways to fix your immigration status in the United States. So my boyfriend has a green card. He's working in the US. If we get married, will I get a green card? So if you do get married, you would qualify to apply for the green card as a spouse of a green card holder. However, if you're in the United States out of status, or if you're outside of the United States, there are going to be two different processes. You want to make sure that you have the legal advice to be able to know which one to pursue, so you don't make any mistakes in the process. So how to fix your immigration status? In between questions, keep in mind as I'm speaking, still put your immigration questions because you're my priority and I want to be here to answer your immigration questions. However, I'm going to just talk about a topic that a lot of individuals would like to know about. And that's, if you're here out of status, how do you fix your immigration status? So there are different ways to do this. You're welcome. And so one of those ways is through the waiver process. So many people are here, they don't qualify for adjustment of status. So only certain individuals qualify for adjustment of status. Those are the immediate relatives of a U.S. citizen who are either in status or came in with a visa, even if they overstayed and are out of status. But they must be an immediate relative of a U.S. citizen. That means that the spouse of a U.S. citizen, the parent of a U.S. citizen, or the son or daughter under 21 and unmarried of a U.S. citizen. If you don't fall in any of those categories, chances are you're going to have to fix your status in another way. So there is another way that you could stay in the United States and apply. If the reason you don't have status is because you have a spouse that's toxic, or a parent, if you're under 25 and you have a parent who is toxic and not helping you with the green card process, or even if you have a son or daughter who's 21 and up and they are putting you through the ringer there's a way to apply on your own. And so that would be one way that you'd be able to say, if you're applying based on the mistreatment by those relatives, then you would be able to still stay in the United States, even if you're out of status, even if you came into the country without permission, then you could still apply for it this way based on mistreatment. And I'm going to repeat, it's based on the mistreatment by a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse. If you're under 25, mistreatment by a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident parent, or mistreatment by a U.S. citizen, son or daughter 21 and up. If you are going through the real ringer with any of these relatives, they're mistreating you, then you can apply for the green card. You may be able to apply for the green card on your own. The best thing to do is schedule a consultation to confirm that you qualify. So that's one way that you could fix your status if you are going through this situation. Now, if you have your relatives and they are supportive, but you just know that you would not qualify, you wouldn't qualify based on mistreatment, you wouldn't qualify through because you're not the immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, then the next step to look at would be to apply for what's called an unlawful presence waiver. And what that basically means is that in order to get to the green card, you have to apply for forgiveness for the overstay or overstaying for over 6 months for the unlawful presence. And once that permission is granted, you could move forward in the process. Now, why you need a waiver is because you can't qualify in the U.S. So that waiver is basically giving you the ability to leave the country and not face the consequences of the overstay. So you get to go to the interview at your home country, and the officer at the embassy will not use the unlawful presence against you. You will not be stuck in your country based on the unlawful presence. They will then, all being well, they approve your immigrant visa. They would then, you would travel back to the United States about 2 weeks after the interview. So those are 3 ways that you could fix your status in the United States. So with the waiver, if you don't qualify, and usually through the ways that you don't qualify is if you are your mom, your parents are permanent residents or U.S. citizens, but you're over 21, or you came into the country without permission, because anybody who is going to adjust status has to show legal entry, even if they overstayed, or they have to show current status. So keep in mind that if any of this sounds like something you want to pursue, you want further advice on it, schedule a consultation. The way you can do that is call 561-405-4889. You can also go to the link in my bio to schedule that consultation. Roxana, thank you for that. Rose, you can go to the link in my bio. It's going to take you to the website. Now, sometimes the phone lines get busy. And if you are not getting through by phone, guess what? We have other means for you to get in touch. So we do have an online chat. So if you go to the website, you'll be invited to chat with the scheduling coordinator who will schedule your consultation for you either online or by phone if you call, or you can complete a contact form. And if you complete that contact form, then the scheduling coordinator will either get back to you tonight or the next business day, which would be tomorrow. So go ahead and take advantage of all those different ways to get in touch if you really want to figure out a way to fix your immigration status. Because if you have not explored your options, it's best to start with a legal consultation to make sure that you have explored all your avenues, especially in the case that you have a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse, parent, or a son or daughter who's 21 and up. So about how long does it take when a U.S. citizen files for her son over 21 unmarried? Any way to speed it up? So No, generally speaking, I don't know what your situation is, Beauty Palace, but generally speaking, there is no, usual way to speed it up. The usual time right now is about 5 to 6 years. Hi, we got through by phone on Tuesday and the coordinator said she will get you to call. So, Shelly, I don't know if you spoke to the scheduling coordinator, because I don't usually call. You must speak with me through a consultation. So, I will check on that and see if they can call you back. But keep in mind that when you call, you will need to schedule a consultation, because of course I have other commitments. I do have other clients and I'm very busy. So you have to be placed on my calendar for me to be able to provide you legal advice in a professional legal consultation. So keep your questions coming. Okay, so Shelly, the way it works is that in the consultations, you must get that advice in the consultation. Now, if you have follow-up questions, then go ahead. Follow-up questions regarding the service, go ahead and give us a call back. However, if you do have additional questions, that is going to require going on my schedule again. How many months does a fiancé visa take? So it's over a year. So keep that in mind. It's going to be over a year for the fiancé visa. Now, I know that's shocking to many, right? Because the fiancé visa it was originally designed to be a shorter time. So it was designed to be around 3 months. However, because of the backlog, because so many people are applying for the fiancé visa, it has gone into an over a year long process. So now, you have 2 options. So usually some people have to schedule, they have to think about whether to do a marriage base rather than the fiancé, just because is it worth it waiting for over a year for a fiancé visa to come through, when it may just take the same amount of time to get married and then come up and become a permanent resident. So Lauren, the consultation is not free. So there is a consultation fee. It is $150 for up to an hour. However, it is well worth it because you come out knowing your options, avoiding mistakes. That's the most important thing. And while you are free to do consultations, if you are experiencing difficulties in your case, the best time to schedule a consultation is before you file an application, because then you know for sure coming out that you've gotten the advice you need to know how to move forward and whether you're going to need further legal representation. So, hi, my fiance is an American citizen, but he can't bring me there with a fiance visa. So I'm not sure why he can't. I don't know if there's something that disqualifies you, but if Fernandez, if you would like a consultation to figure out your options, go ahead and schedule. My husband, who is a permanent resident, filed an I-130 just over 9 months now. Should I be hearing soon? So the decisions on an I-130 could take well over a year. So keep in mind, 9 months is usually the minimum time to get an approval, but the average time is a year or a little over a year. So keep your questions coming. Now, Nadia, another thing is make sure that you check on your case, make sure that nothing was sent asking you for more information, just to make sure that there's no delay on your end and everything is good. So these are all great questions. Keep your questions coming because I'm here to answer your immigration questions. Hi there, Angelindra. It's nice to see you. So keep those questions coming. I am here to answer your questions. Now, if I'm getting a lot of questions about consultations, so if you would like to schedule a consultation which I highly recommend you do if you're going through a personal situation, if you're thinking about submitting a specific application. What you need to do is go to the link in my bio. It's going to take you to the website where you can schedule through the scheduling coordinator. So, okay, so we have another question. Hello, is it the work permit will be 2 years? Absolutely. So yes, so now, and that is great news. So the Biden administration, or the Department of Homeland Security, has issued a memo, and a part of that memo is that all work permits will now be issued, or not all, but for specific types of applications will be issued for 2 years rather than 1 year, just because processing times have been well over a year. So that is true. That's coming down the pipeline very, very soon. I'm 25 and a U.S. citizen. Can I file for my mom to be a U.S. resident or apply for? Absolutely. So Lauren, definitely schedule a consultation and let's talk more. But if you're a U.S. citizen, you're over 21, which you are, then you qualify to apply for your mom to become a green card holder. Now, whether your mom qualifies depends on her background. But your mom could qualify to adjust status while staying in the United States if she came into the country with a visa, even if she overstayed it, and you still qualify to apply for her if she's out of the outside of the country as well. He said he had criminal record, but but he's not guilty. Is it possible he can bring me there? So when it comes down to the criminal record, it's very complicated, and I would have to get more details in a private consultation. Yes, so when an U.S. citizen has been convicted for certain crimes, so if he's been convicted for those crimes, then he would not qualify unless he can meet specific criteria. So it could be possible, but he would have to apply for a waiver of the prohibition on him applying for a fiancé, and he has to raise certain justifications for why this happened to him. So schedule a consultation, and then I can advise further. So TD, I am located in Boca Raton, Florida, but keep in mind that I represent clients all over the United States. I'm not limited by borders. I'm not limited by state lines. So if you need help, no matter where you are in the United States, I help. No matter where you are in the world, I can help you as well. So my mom lives overseas, is a widow, and my dad was a U.S. citizen. Lauren, definitely call me, okay? Because if your mom was also the widow of a U.S. citizen, there may be a way. So your mom may have multiple avenues. Your mom may be able to petition for herself, but I would really need to speak with you and your mom. So if you can get your mom to be in the consultation, we can talk about the best option forward, because there is a path. It sounds like there may be a path. We just would need to do a consultation to confirm. So I'm glad I spoke with you, Lauren, but schedule a consult and let's talk more. How long should the whole process take? So Nadia, I don't remember. Okay, so the whole process, was he a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent resident? So if he's a legal permanent resident, expect for about a 2-year process. Can you estimate when can I expect Illinois? Someone got IL January and mine is DQ 11. So I'm not sure what you mean here. Can you rephrase babe 1900 so I can understand your question better? Please advise the average consultation cost. So my consultation fee is $150 for every single consultation. I don't know what the average consultation is for other attorneys. Each attorney has their own fees, so you will need to check for that. Nadia, you are welcome. So keep those questions coming. I am here to answer your immigration questions. TD, you're also welcome. So these are all great questions. Babe 1900, can you just rephrase your question so I can answer it? So while I was here, I know some people hopped on later. I talked about 3 ways that individuals can fix their status in the United States. And what I mean by fixing their status is that you're here, you're without status. You either crossed the border without permission, or you came and overstayed your visa, and now you're trying to figure out the best path forward. So if you're the immediate relative of a US citizen, and that means, so how can a person get their residency back? Royal Renee, it depends on what happened. So if you, if it was revoked because of a situation, a criminal history, or some kind of violation, that would be another matter that would need to be discussed in a consultation. If you left the country for over a year, there is a presumption that you have given up your permanent residence. However, there's a special type of visa called the Returning Resident Immigrant Visa, SB1 visa, that is there for individuals who left. For example, they maybe left to take care of a sick parent and then ended up being there with the parent for years, to help the parent, and never intended to leave for such a long time. If that's a kind of situation, then there's a way to go through the returning resident immigrant visa, but you'll have to meet specific criteria. Can you estimate when can I receive interview? Someone got qualified on Jan 2020 and got an appointment. So unfortunately, it depends on the service center and what's going on in your individual case. What you can do, Babe 1900, is go to the USCIS, and if you go to the service center that is currently dealing with your case, you can look at their, and that's if you're in the United States. If you're outside of the United States, then it would be a different thing. What would be considered immediate family relative? So thank you for that question, Lauren. So immediate relatives of US citizens are the spouse of a US citizen, the parent of a US citizen, or the son or daughter under 21 and unmarried of a US citizen. Okay, so Babe 1900, you're outside of the United States. So in this case, you check on your case, make sure everything is good. One thing that often delays the cases outside of the country is now, and it depends on who's sponsoring you, Babe 1900, because I just mentioned the immediate relatives of US citizens. Immediate relatives of US citizens, their process can go through faster than any other category. So if you fall into any other category, then it could, so you're F4. So that explains it, Babe 1900. F4 is the longest. So F4 is, I believe, you're the sibling of a US citizen, or you're the derivative of a sibling of a US citizen. And right now, that's taking a minimum of 14 years. So that explains why it's taking so long. You do have a long wait unless they do change the law. If they change the law, then maybe something could come up to make it go faster. But unfortunately, that is taking a minimum of 14 years. Papito Danilo, good evening. If your parent is in US illegally, what should I put in DS-160 visa form as their status? So, first of all, I would want to know why I can't advise on what you should put on the form without knowing your entire situation, Jolie. One thing you should never do that I can tell you is never omit any information or misrepresent any information. However, the way that you need to approach it will depend on why you're filling out the DS-160, what's the purpose of it, who are you applying for, why do you need to disclose your parent's status. You can schedule a consultation so we can delve more into the nitty-gritty of your situation and I can advise. So so got qualified in 2020. So if your application has been pending for a long time, Babe 1900, and you are qualified, so that means that you are current, your immigrant visa number is available, then it's just a matter of waiting for that appointment. So Jolie, go ahead and schedule a consultation by calling 561-405-4889, or you can go to the link in my bio. It will take you to the contact form. You can complete the contact form, or you can also try the online chat where the scheduling coordinator will be there. Trish Rosanna, I live in the Caribbean. My boyfriend works in the US, but we get married. Would I qualify for a green card? So I believe I answered that, Trish, but I'm going to answer again. So as the spouse of a green card holder, you could possibly qualify for the green card. Now, I don't know your background. I don't know your facts. So I wouldn't be able to say if you specifically would qualify. It depends on your history and make sure that there are no other disqualifying facts. But yes, as a green card holder, he does have every right to apply for his spouse. And that process is taking about 2 years. So keep your questions coming. I am here to answer your immigration questions. So keep those questions coming. So back to, let's see. Good night. I need to make an appointment. So I think that's Van Lane I'm seeing. Go ahead and call 561-405-4889. Or you can go to the link in my bio that will take you to the website where you can fill out a contact form, and then the scheduling coordinator will either get back to you tonight or to the next business day, which is tomorrow. Now, so the scheduling coordinators are always on hand up until 11 p.m. every day to schedule your appointments from Monday to Friday. So now is the time to call, schedule your consultation, and get it out of the way before the weekend, because otherwise, if you do call and schedule a consultation over the weekend, you will get an after hours receptionist that will take your information, but they will pass it on to the scheduling coordinators, are in charge of getting you on my schedule. What could be a reason for someone not being able to qualify for a fiancé, spouse visa, or any other visa? So there could be multiple reasons. It just depends on which way you're going, Lauren. So if you're trying to do an adjustment of status, it could be if you didn't enter the country with a visa, if you have a criminal history or a past immigration violation. Sometimes if you even come in with a type of visa, you can't qualify for adjustment of status. If you came in with a crew member visa, for example. So that is why it's always best to do a consultation to make sure that you don't make any mistakes going into the process. And also to get representation to take that burden off of you to begin with. Papito, found out about the E2 visa recently, but is there a residency green card citizenship version of it? There is. So there's the EB5 Investor Visa, and that one does require you to invest a minimum of $1,900,000 if you're doing it a special way, or $1.8 million dollars. Can I request an earlier date from the one given by the consulate for my green card interview? It depends. So Saving the Children 2021, it really depends on your situation. If there is an emergency, it's possible. But it just depends. You'd have to have good justification for requesting it to be expedited. So thanks, Bran DB1, for following me, and everyone on here who has been clicking that follow button. I appreciate it. And if you don't have a question tonight, you will always see me here logging in at this time to answer your questions. So feel free to always join me to ask your questions. So these have all been great questions, and I am still here to take your questions. So I have a small business in the US. Can I sponsor someone in Jamaica on a work visa? It's possible, yes, but it depends on what your needs are and what the purpose of the visa is, what type of visa it is, what do you need the person to work for you. It's not as simple as applying for a work permit for someone. You have to hire them for a specific reason and justify your reason for hiring them and make sure that they qualify as well. So Pink Goddess, if you'd like to learn more, figure out your options, definitely schedule a consultation with me and we can talk more about that. I applied for citizenship 4 months ago and haven't received anything. Should I reapply? No. So, processing times vary from place to place, service center to service center. You should not reapply because that would probably just cause further delay in your case. However, check on your case and see if there is, make sure that everything is good on your end. They're not waiting on anything additional. But 4 months to wait. Usually, if they have given you a fingerprinting waiver, like to say they don't need you to do the fingerprinting appointment, then you could get an appointment soon. But the average times I've been seeing to get the interview is about 5 to 6 months. How many consecutive months do I have to be in the US with green card before applying for citizenship? So you have to have your green card for 5 years. And if you received your green card through a US citizen spouse and you remain married to that US citizen spouse for 3 of those years, then it would be for 3 years. So keep those questions coming. I am here to answer your immigration questions. So why not take advantage of it and ask your questions now? I covered some topics today very briefly, but I think it gave you enough information to know whether you should pursue a legal consultation. And that's how to fix your immigration status through an immediate U.S. citizen relative, and that would be a spouse. If you're a U.S. citizen spouse, your U.S. citizen son or daughter 21 and up, or your U.S. citizen parent if you are under 21 and unmarried. If you have a green card holder parent or a green card holder spouse, or if you're over 21 and you have a green card holder parent, then there are still ways to fix your immigration status. And so I cover those. Also, if you're being mistreated by a U.S. citizen and you're being mistreated, you're in the U.S. and you have lived with that relative and you have been mistreated by that relative, so a U.S. citizen or green card holder spouse or parent, if you're under 25, a parent, or a son or daughter over 21, then there is a way to fix your status, get the green card while staying in the United States. When an I-130 is approved, what's the next step? So Nadia, if you're outside of the United States, the next step would go to the National Visa Center. And when it's at the National Visa Center, you will have to pay additional fees as well as submit additional documentation. Once they've gathered all your documents and once your immigrant visa number becomes available, then it's sent to the embassy for the interview. Right now is a good time for permanent residents to apply for their spouses because there is no wait list right now for an immigrant visa number. If I had my green card for 8 years but only lived in the US for the past 2 years, when to apply for citizenship, so saving the children, that's a more complex issue. It's definitely you would want to schedule a consultation and let's talk about those timelines. Robert, thanks for sharing the live. He did not have a felony. So Teacher Steve, 37. Hi Dark Horse 45. It's nice to see you tonight. I don't believe so when a judge terminate removal proceedings without hearing, what's the next thing to do? So Teacher Steve 37, get a consultation. Deportation hearings and the procedures can be complex and it all depends on what's going on in your particular case. Saving the children, I am looking forward to speaking with you. And Dark Horse 45, thanks for asking. I'm doing well. So Papito Danilo, can you retype your question, please? I answered your question, but I don't remember your question. So go ahead and put your questions in the comments again, and then I will answer. And Lily Mark 8, thanks for sharing the live. I appreciate that. So so he did not have a felon. So Teacher Steve, it sounds like there are complex issues going on in your case. So schedule a consultation. Definitely do that. When it comes on to deportation hearings, it's very important to not do it without an attorney, because it becomes complex. There are procedural issues that you have to be aware of. And you know, to be frank, it does take an attorney to fully understand what's going on. The E2 visa, if there's a green card citizenship version, so Papito, yes, so there is the EB5 Investor Visa, and you have to have a minimum of $900,000 to be able to invest, to be able to get that. The E2 visa doesn't have a limit. Of course, it's not a green card version. But the green card version does require you to have a minimum of 900,000. And it can go up depending on the nature of the investment. How long after my spouse gets his green card is it safe to get married? So generally speaking, I don't know what your situation is, but right away. He doesn't have to wait. I'm a file for my dad who was sent back to Jamaica over 10 years. Okay. Papito, wow. Yeah. So thank you all for joining me tonight. As usual, I'll be back tomorrow to answer your questions. So those of you who join me, those of you who follow me, you will see me again tomorrow, and where you'll have another opportunity to ask your questions. So Royal Renee, if I live outside of the US, can I apply for a green card, and which one should I fill out? So it depends, Royal Renee, that's going to require full evaluation. So Shannon Spring, I'm sorry you missed it, but you can see me tomorrow. How long will it take for your visa date after submitting civil documents? So it depends on where you are in the process, Ohaji. All right, have a good night, everyone. If you would like to schedule a consultation, just go to the link in my bio where you will go to the website, and you have multiple ways to get in touch: by phone, by online chat. The scheduling coordinator is available until 11 p.m. tonight to schedule your consultations. Shannon Spring, I'm looking forward to seeing you and answering your questions. So go ahead and contact me, schedule a consultation. My number is plastered all over my videos, so you can go to the videos and you'll see the phone number there, or go to the link in my bio and you can contact me there as well. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.